ready, let me know, and then, yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember my person saying she's here.
Okay, well, good. So, in other words, it won't be now.
She's on her.
No, not
No,
now.
she's on her way.
She's
Okay.
here. Sylvia.
Sylvia.
That's it, not her, sorry. Yeah, that was also on our. Stop trying to.
So far, we had a very busy and full docket this morning, and then we had some other things in the lunch hour that took longer than anticipated. So again, all unrelated to this case, do not hold it against either side. All right. Where we last left off, State, we were in in your case in chief.
Yes, Your Honor, and then as we spoke, we're going to take a brief out of order with permission from the court.
Yes.
The state would like to call Detective Matthew Flores.
Have a seat. I'm going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may need to adjust the microphone.
Thank you.
Make sure everybody can hear you. It is pretty powerful.
All right, thank you.
All right, can you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Sure. My name is Matthew Flores, Matthew I work with the San Antonio Police Department, going on 17 years now in total. I am currently assigned to the Robbery Task Force, and during this case, I was assigned to the crime scene unit.
All right, stay.
Thank you, Your Honor. You've done this before, haven't you?
A couple times, yes, ma'am.
So thanks, you got a lot of the preliminary out of the way. But tell the jury just a little bit more about your background, about how you became a detective and how specifically you got assigned to the crime scene unit back in 2016.
I believe it was in 2016. There was a position open for the crime scene unit. I applied and got accepted. And once I made detective, there was about a 2-week school where they kind of go over the photography, fingerprinting, processing crime scenes, sketching. But a lot of the training is on-the-job training that I was able to do as well. And that was basically it. Once I made the crime scene unit, like I said, it was a lot of on-the-job training. And in this case in particular, we did a photography using what's called Blue Star. And Blue Star is a chemical that has luminol in it. And to my understanding, when it reacts with blood or apparent blood, it will produce a light blue glow. And so in this case, when I process the vehicle, that's what we're trying to document.
Okay, well, and then before we do that, let's go back a little bit. Now, were you only assisting at one location on this case?
So in this case, I assisted in 2 locations.
Which locations did you assist?
So the first one was August 6, 2017 at the 5,000 block of Chive Drive.
Okay, and what specifically were you tasked to do there?
So at that scene, I was just assisting in trying to find evidence to body, clothing, anything to link back to the missing person.
And what was your process in looking for the body?
So there was other crime scene investigators out there at the scene. I was just looking for blood, for hair, for clothing, anything to, like I said, to link it back to the victim. When I got there, I noticed there was another detective, Detective Patton as well. He was already processing the crime scene. I did observe a cup that hasn't been touched or processed, and so I went ahead and processed that cup.
And then talk to the jury specifically about how you processed that cup.
Yeah, so it was a styrofoam cup, and it was near what appeared to be apparent blood. So once I got the cup, it was fingerprinted with black powder, and I also tried to swab the areas where I would think DNA would be, with like the straw, the rim of the cup, and the lid, the plastic lid of the cup. So I would swab that with swabs as well.
Yeah, Rich Pitt.
Yes.
So Detective Flores, I'm going to show you, the screen comes on. Is your screen on in front of you? No. Are y'all's screens on? No. Is your screen on?
It's on, yes, ma'am.
We just popped on.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to show you what has been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 173. Is this the cup you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. No.
And so just kind of circle on there where you're talking about where you did your processing and your work on the cup.
Yes, ma'am. So obviously you can see the black powder on the cup, but the straw I would have swabbed where your mouth would be, and then I would swab the rim, the entire rim of the cup as well, and as well as the actual cup, the rim on the actual cup as well. I would have swabbed that as well for possible DNA.
And then State's Exhibit that's already been admitted as 174, is this also your work on that cup?
Yes, ma'am.
You can clear your red marks. Thank you. And then the jury's heard a little bit about this, but just describe for them in your words what we're looking at with the number 7 placard that's next to the cup.
Yes, so that is just documenting our evidence at a crime scene. So if we had 100 pieces of evidence, we can document each one, what it is, and that way there's no confusion when it comes down to court and for our report purposes as well.
Thank you. Yeah, Roger Murphy.
Yes.
All right, Detective, I'm going to show you what has already been marked as State's Exhibit 140. Detective Patton has also looked and I think already opened it up. But can you look at State's Exhibit 140 and make any sort of confirmation about whether some of the work you did might be in that envelope?
So I do recognize the, what I titled it, 2 swabs of E7 top rim area, 2 swabs of the straw, E7A, E7B, E7C, 2 swabs of the plastic lid.
Okay. And does that correspond with the number 7 placard that we see in State's Exhibit 174?
Yes, ma'am.
And so then can you just open up the bag and see if your swabs are in there, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you know that your swabs are in there?
So I can see my initials and my badge number on those swabs.
Okay. And again, those are the swabs that you took of the cup.
Yes, ma'am.
And so when it comes to the 5,000 Chive Drive, did that complete your work at 5,000 Chive Drive, or did you do anything else there?
No, ma'am, that was all I did, was just the processing of the cup.
And then what was the next location that you went to?
So the following day, August 7th, 2017, I was tasked to go to 442 9th Street, which is our secure facility to process vehicles. Kind of gets us out of the weather, the elements, inside of a closed storage facility.
Okay. And so what was your intent and your purpose to go to 9th Street that day?
So, and I know I touched on it earlier, but it was to try and document the blood or apparent blood in the vehicle, if we could find any. And so that's what our objective was. And when I'm speaking for myself and CSI Duffy, who assisted me that day, but we're trying to document the presence of blood there.
Okay, so were you and CSI Duffy working together?
Yes, ma'am.
Like in tandem, kind of working as a group?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, Rich, again, Your Honor.
Yes.
And so did you and CSI Duffy take some photographs that day at the 9th Street?
Yes, I photographed the vehicle.
So can you look at States Exhibit 119, 120, 121, 122, and 123 and see if you recognize them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how do you recognize them?
I recognize them, for one, my photo board on 119. I have the case number with my name and badge. And then I recognize the vehicle, the blue Hyundai Santa Fe.
Okay. And so do these photos represent the photographs that you took that day on, was it August the 7th you said?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
And then same questions for States Exhibit 136.
Yes, I recognize this.
And then I have States Exhibit 227, 228, 229, 230, 231, 232, and 233. Could you look at these and then same questions?
Very good. Yes, ma'am, I recognize this.
And so do these photos Duffy did on the Hyundai that day on August the 7th?
They do.
Your Honor, state moves to admit States 119 through 123, 136, and 227 through 233.
No objection to 119 through 123. No objection to 136. objection to 227 through 233, Judge.
All right, so State's Exhibits 119 through 123, 136, 227 through 233 are admitted.
Thank you. And then Detective, before we kind of get into the photos with the jury, and they've already seen a little bit of what the Blue Star looks like in photographic form, tell the jury your process as you're moving through the vehicle, using the Blue Star, and then how you photograph it.
Yeah, so that day, CSI Duffy was actually training me, and so she was spraying the interior of the vehicle, and I'm just kind of documenting, the process. But from my understanding, it was just the interior, spraying the interior areas of the vehicle, and then once we would spray it, we would turn the lights off, and so that chemical, like I said, it produces a light blue glow if it reacts with blood, and it's a presumptive test. So the process would be, if we see a light blue glow, we would swab it, package that up, and submit it to the lab, and the lab would be the final outcome to say if it's blood or not. That was kind of the process. Spray the interior of the vehicle and document any areas that were glowing light blue.
May I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes.
So, for example, I'm gonna try, see if this works. Try to kind of show State's Exhibit 133 and 228 kind of at the same time. Because I kind of want you to explain to the jury, like, why one appears lighter where we can easily see what portion of the vehicle we're looking at, where the other one might be a little bit more difficult to see exactly what portion of the vehicle we're viewing.
Yes, I believe 133, we did have the lights off, and I had accidentally had the flash on, and so it was still able to document the light blue glow that you see. And so the following picture, make sure the flash was off, and that's why it appears darker.
And I know kind of the glare of the lights above the projector is a little bit hard to see, but can you show us, well, do 133 and 228 depict similar areas of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, it does. If you look at 133, may I draw?
Yes, please.
So at 133, this corner right here, it's going to be, to my knowledge, just the same section right there.
So just a little bit different perspective of kind of the same area.
Yes, ma'am, maybe a little bit of a different angle.
And Norma, can I pass one of these around to because the light kind of affects?
Yes.
And so we're gonna kind of do a similar thing with states 129 and 137. Tell me if I get any of this wrong. And 139 is super hard to see. You know what? Your Honor, can I approach?
Yes.
And it's actually 137, 139. So it's 229 and 137. It's a little bit easier to see with the eye and not the. And I'll also show you 136, see if it helps.
Okay, so 137, it looks like the bottom of the hatch. I know it's hard to see up there, but if you compare it to 229, it looks like the bottom of the hatch, because I can kind of see the left tail light area.
Okay, well then what I'll do is because it's a little bit easier to see with the naked eye, I'm gonna pass 137 around to the jury, and then I'm gonna have you on 229 kind of circle what area we're looking at in 137.
So looking at that photograph with the blue star, I believe you're seeing that general area.
Okay. So is that kind of like the bottom lip of the cargo area, maybe the top of the?
Yes, ma'am, that's what it looks like to me.
Oh, sorry. I moved
You're
it.
fine.
And then, while we're looking at 137, I'll show you 136. Is this a kind of close-up of that same general area that we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
And then looking at 136, it appears that there's some, I don't know, lack of a better word, dripping down off the bumper. Do you know, if you know, what that is?
I believe that's the rundown spray from the blue star, just the excessive spraying of it.
So then, without the special lighting, it appears clear, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, similarly with these two, we're looking at States Exhibit 92, which appears to be the steering wheel, is that right?
Yes, I can see the steering wheel in this picture.
And then States Exhibit 138. So describe what we're seeing in States Exhibit 138.
There's just certain areas in the vehicle that's showing the light blue glow.
Okay, so are you able to explain to the jury why in States Exhibit 92, when we look at the naked eye of the steering wheel, it doesn't appear, I guess at least in this picture of States Exhibit 92, that anything is there, but yet we can see how illuminated it is in 138. Do you know what the difference is and why it would be that way?
So, again, to my understanding, the blue star process is best seen with the lights off. And I know the other picture, the flash happened to go off, but the proper way is to have the lights off to really kind of document the area. I don't know, the exact science behind it, but you want to be able to see it with the naked eye, to my knowledge.
So then in your training experience with Blue Star, are there occasions where with the naked eye, you're not seeing anything of any sort of apparent blood, but then you put the Blue Star on and then you get the illumination? Is that fairly common?
Yes, ma'am. I would say that's an accurate statement. I know, to my knowledge, Blue Star is used to document crime scenes where maybe blood has been cleaned up or in those type of situations. So that's also a technique that's been used.
That's what it's from.
Let's start with, the cup. And, was there liquid in the cup, if you recall?
I'm not sure, sir. I don't remember.
Does your report help?
Yes, sir. If you have it, I'll read it.
I actually don't. Do y'all have a copy of that report? Sure. Yeah, no, it's not necessary. Approach, Judge. Approach, Judge.
Yes.
I'm gonna show you to see if you recognize this, just
Help refresh your memory.
Yes, sir.
I'm just talking about the cup you found over on Chive.
Okay.
Okay. Does that help refresh your memory, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so now let's go back. Did the cup have anything in it?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay. In the photograph, it appears to be upright. When you found it originally, is that the way it was found, or did you upright it for the photograph?
So, however it had the E7 placard is the way it was found.
Okay.
To my knowledge.
So upright.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
However they found it. Yeah.
And would you agree with me? Graph it was to accurately, like you said, show us the way it was found. So, like if it was this can, and you took a picture like that, that's the way you found it. And like somebody was drinking it and sat it down, right? It wasn't laid over on its side like somebody had kicked it over. Somebody was taking a drink, sat it down, and that's just how you found it, right?
So it was found in that open. The way it was found, I don't know if it could have been blown over by the wind or whatnot, but the way it was found, that's how it was processed. I didn't photograph the cup. I just assisted in processing the cup.
Okay. And when you say processing, you did several things. You processed it first for fingerprints.
The areas where I felt where a hand would grab the cup, that's where I checked for fingerprints.
And so in the photograph, and may I approach the photograph?
Yes.
Thank you. No, I'll just walk over to you. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you what they for. Do you recognize those?
Yes, sir.
So is that the cup we're talking about?
It is.
So my first question is, you said found in the field, but it looks to me like it's sitting on pavement, right?
There was a section that was pavement, but I remember it was a open area.
Right. But I mean, you said found in the field, but if it's photographed sitting in the road, that's where you found it,
So
not
there-
in a field.
So there should be an overall picture. Whoever photographed the crime scene here or the scene, there should be an overall area where all the evidence was documented.
Right.
And so these are just what I'm looking at is close-ups of the cup.
Okay. Then there's the field. I'll agree with you. There's a field adjacent to this. But if this cup was photographed, like you said, that's where it was found. Nobody touched it. Nobody moved it. You walked up to it. You put a placard down. You didn't take the pictures, right?
No, sir.
Somebody else took the pictures, but your understanding is that's how it was found and where it was found, right? If you know.
To my understanding, that when we put a placard down, this is how it was found.
Right, and you've been doing this a long time, right?
For a little bit, yes, sir.
Okay, so, and you talk about the fingerprint stuff. That's the black powder I see in 173 and 174.
That's correct.
And the purpose of that is to see if there are, in fact, any legible fingerprints to be obtained from this evidence.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And then the second thing you did was attempt to even further identify the person who had left the cup there, was swabbed for potential DNA evidence, correct?
That's correct.
And hanged and preserved correctly. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Those are the ones I just viewed.
And the purpose of doing that is so the jury can know who was there that night, right?
It is to assist the detective.
That list a couple of suspects, and the cup's on there. We need to know which one of these suspects the cup belongs to, right? That would be important.
So that is for the lead. And I only knew there was a missing person, and I'm looking
Right.
for evidence. And so I processed the cup because I'm trying to assist in a possible lead.
Okay. Did you process any other piece?
No, sir, I believe everything came from that cup. So from that cup, several swabs were taken.
Okay. Now, let's fast forward to the next day. And the next day, as I understand it, was, I think you said August the 17th, but could it have been August the 7th? Or maybe I wrote it down wrong.
No, sir, August the 7th is accurate.
August the
Yeah.
7th, okay. Now, when you were, did you know that was not the first day that car had been processed?
Yes, sir.
You did know that?
I did know that, yes, sir.
Were you there when because the first day the car was processed, I believe, was what, August the 4th? Is that right? If you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Was that the first day you'd been to the car, August the 7th?
The first day for me, yes, sir.
And on that day, if you remember, who all was present?
The day I processed it was me and CSI Duffy.
Just the two of you?
That's correct.
Okay. And you've kind of talked about what you did. One of the things about the Blue Star spray, you remember you and I talked at a previous hearing, and you talked about the fact that in some of the pictures showed some blue spray that in fact was not a result of blood. You remember you and I talking about that before?
I remember you mentioning a article that was blue, and I know we were kind of going back and forth. I do remember that conversation, yes, sir.
And the gist of the conversation, we ended up agreeing that some of the stuff perhaps wasn't blood, but it still turned up blue.
In the photograph with the lights on, or in one of the photographs that I viewed up here, you can see it off. You do not see that particle.
And then finally, on the 7th, when you were there with the car, am I understanding from reading the reports correctly that you did not have anything to do with attempting to lift fingerprints from the car like you did from the cup?
That's correct. I was strictly, the Blue Star process was
Okay.
my involvement.
Is that because fingerprints weren't attempted, or because you did not attempt the prints, if you remember?
My understanding is the vehicle was processed, so at this point, we were just trying to document the Blue Star process.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all I have. And I'll return these to the
I
state.
might just have one follow-up, there's no need to look at that list real quick if you don't mind.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I have her check.
has his report.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yes.
So Detective Flores, let's look back at 140, and 140 is the envelope that contains the swabs that you've identified are your E7. Do you want to confirm that?
You said 140? Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it's
okay.
my 140.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. And then, explain to the jury how, as a detective with the crime scene unit, do you go about identifying different pieces of whether it's a swab or evidence that may not have its own unique identifier, right? So all swabs look the same. So how, as a CSI investigator, do y'all go about keeping track of the different swabs of the different areas that you collect from?
Yeah, so each swab would be documented. A lot of the same information you see on our individual barcodes. These individual barcodes has its own, basically like a serial number. But we would mark it if, for example, if this was E7 Charlie, as C is in Charlie, we would mark the swab E7C and E7B, and that way, in this example, I have several swabs, so I have it marked E7A, E7B, E7C, E7D, E7E, and so that way I can document which swab came from which area.
Okay. And so then, and each of those have a unique serial number attached to them, correct?
That's correct. Basically, what do we call our barcodes?
Okay. And so then showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 117, could you look at E4 in States 117? And then just see if that interferes with the serial number on your E7, or are they different?
No, the barcodes would be different.
So even if in 117 E4 might be a similar type of item that was swabbed, the serial numbers are different.
Correct.
And just one final question. So just confirm for me where your E7, the cup that you found your E7.
So that was at on my report, it's 5,000 block of Chive Drive.
Okay. And was that inside of a vehicle or outside of a vehicle or some other place?
No, ma'am, that was outside it was in the open.
Pass the witness room.
Nothing further.
The rules when invoked, you know what that means?
Not to speak about.
If you don't mind placing the documents, are those your documents? or-
I believe that's the
Yeah,
state.
you can place them on the ledge.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
You can call your next witness.
We have just a moment, judges, for labeling.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, thank you, Judge. And the state's gonna call back, State's on Megan Duffy.
Mary, did he give you his report?
Yes.
You can have a seat. All right, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
All right, so stay.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, may I approach witness?
Yes.
Okay, so just to remind you where we were, back yesterday, we had gone through what's been already marked as State's Exhibit 117, and you had told us about the packaging and the processing, and we had talked about the barcodes. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, remind me, those were the swabs that you collected from the vehicle on that first processing that you did on August 4th, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 234. And can you tell us what
It is the swabs that I collected on August 7th, and it's also, it looks like it may contain the brown towel from August 4th.
Okay. So, I'm going to show you some more photographs that have been marked as States Exhibit 230, 231, 232, and 233. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes, sir.
And are those the photos that you took when you were processing, I guess, the swab areas on that 8-7 process?
These might be Matt Flores pictures.
Okay, so you didn't take those photos, but are
Yes.
those the areas that you swabbed on 8-7?
Yes, sir.
And do those photos accurately kind of depict that, you know, that area that you were taking those samples from?
Yes, sir.
And have they been altered in any way?
No, sir.
And Your Honor, State will move to admit States Exhibit 230, 31, 32, 33 into evidence. And take them to the defendant after any objections.
I think they're already ready then.
Can you get these?
Yeah.
31, 32, and 33, they're in.
Okay, good. Now, I'm going to show you on the, Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
So obviously, we've talked about how there's the 2 different days of processing, and so I'm going to show you the photos from that first day, which is right here on States Exhibit number 105. We talked about this. This is that first number 1 evidence placard. This spot that you took the swab from, which package is that? Which, I guess using the exhibit number, which package is that swab contained in?
And 117.
Okay, and is that the same for what would be, I guess, evidence number 2 depicted in States 106?
Yes, sir.
And then the same thing for States 107?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing for States 108?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing for States 109?
Yes, sir.
And then last, the same thing for States 110?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you could, just for the sake of being thorough, would you mind going ahead and opening up States 117 just to make sure that those swabs are contained in that package?
Do you have scissors? Or a knife?
So, having had a second to go through it, is each, I guess, individual item in that packaging?
Yes, sir.
And how is it that you know that?
So the barcode matches what should have been on the report. And then my initials, badge, and date are on the back of each one of these on the red tape. And this one as well.
Okay. And you kind of told us a lot of how you do that process today, right? As far as how you, that procedure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can go ahead and put those in the bag while I... Okay, so a second ago you said that in that second package, which is labeled as States 234, that you thought that the towel that you had collected on 8-4 was actually in that package as well.
I think so, according to this barcode sheet.
Okay, and so I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 111. Is that the towel that you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
And that's, I guess, identified as evidence number 7?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit number 230. I think it's a little blurry, so it's hard to see on the projector, but I'm going to bring it to you just so it's easier for you to see. Can you tell us what piece of evidence that is depicting?
It should be item of evidence E1.
Okay, and what is item of evidence E1?
We took a swab of apparent blood in the back.
Okay, and same thing, I'm anticipating that it's probably going to be blurry on the projector. I will test it. State's Exhibit number 231. It looks pretty blurry, so I'm going to walk it to you. Showing you State's Exhibit 231. What is it that's in that photo?
I believe that's item of evidence E2.
And
which
what was?
A swab of apparent blood.
Okay, same thing for State's Exhibit number 232.
Yes, sir. Item of evidence E3, which was a swab of apparent blood.
Okay, and then State's Exhibit number 233.
Yes, sir. Swab of apparent blood. It was E4.
All right. Now, when you tell us about that process of how you take those swabs, how you preserve them, package them for this case, for this investigation.
Yes, sir. So, like we explained yesterday, we will get the sterile, they're in a package that's sterile. There's 2 cotton applicators, and we will put distilled water on them, and then we will swab the areas that we are collecting, and then they are put back into that package, and then we will write the case information on that package, and then they are put into a brown envelope, and then they are sealed with clear tape on all factory seals. Then we put red tape, which goes across the brown envelope and across the clear tape as well. And then we initial badge and date, which has to go across the envelope, the clear tape, and the red tape to show that it's sealed.
Now, when you're doing that for the swabs that have the, I guess, the Blue Star swabs versus the standard swabs, is any part of that different?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, if you could, go ahead and take a second to open up State's Exhibit number 234 and just make sure that those swabs that are identified.
Yes, sir.
And so, are those items the same items?
Yes, sir.
And so, how is it that you know that?
It has the barcode that's associated. It has the case number. It's the barcode that's associated with each item of evidence. And on the back, it has my initials, badge, and date on them, on both the top and the bottom for the red tape.
And then, just for the sake of thoroughness again, that barcode is unique to that piece of evidence.
Yes, sir.
And then that other big bag that you pulled out, which I guess is labeled as States 118F, is that towel that you were referring to?
Yes, sir.
And when you were collecting those samples, did you follow the procedure, accordingly? Did you do all the different steps you're supposed to do in order to preserve the evidence the way it needs to be?
Yes, sir.
I think you can go ahead and start trying to put them back in. Thank you for coming back. And see what the password is from.
Yes.
So, as I understand it, you went to the car twice.
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay, and the first time was August the 4th of 2017.
Yes, sir.
And on that day, you went and Detective Espinosa was also present.
Yes, sir.
And Espinosa was there because he was the lead detective, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, August the 4th is a significant date because the next day, August the 5th, Espinosa sent some people to collect clothes. Did you go or have anything to do with the collection of clothes the next day on August the 5th?
No, sir.
Okay.
Could I please have a copy of my report? I gave it to them yesterday.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
You got one.
I do. May I approach, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course. That's the 4. I wrote on the top.
I appreciate it.
Of course. But on the 4th, you took some pictures of the car, and on the you didn't do the blue star until the 7th, correct?
Correct.
But on the 4th, am I correct in understanding that even to the naked eye, it was obvious, at least it appeared, that there was a substance that you and Espinosa believed was blood present in the car?
There was what we thought was apparent blood in the car, yes, sir.
And I think from the pictures, you could say not just a little bit of blood, but a decent amount. I mean, more than would make one comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Espinosa, at that point, was there with you, and he saw this car. He knew who the car belonged to, and he knew that there was a good amount of blood in that car, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on that day, thank you, you just did some presumptive test for blood, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I photographed the car, and then we did some presumptive tests, and I collected what was requested to be collected out of the vehicle.
Now, when you say what was requested to be collected, are those requests made by Espinosa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in your position at that time, if you felt like he missed something, are you in the position to say, hey, how about we do this, or how about we do that, or do you just do what he says? And I'm not trying to be demeaning
No.
or degrading. I'm just asking the question.
I understand. So we work together closely, right? A lot of times they have information that we don't have, or a lot of times information comes out at a later time. So we try to communicate well with them. That's why he was out there that day, helping search the car. That's why we, CSI Hurst and myself, did the presumptive test, because the color of those stains was like a brownish color. So that was why we did the presumptive test and then swabbed them to have them submitted.
And the
So-
presumptive test came back. So not only one, when you looked at it, you thought to yourself, and at that point you were experienced. You were training people. You were so experienced, right?
Yes, sir.
So not only did you think it was blood, your presumptive test came back and told you, presumptively, it tests positive for blood, right?
Positive for mammal blood, yes, sir.
Okay. So so Espinosa knew the results of that. He was there when you did those presumptive tests, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so we did those, you collected the evidence. Did you take pictures and inventory? I don't see in your report a complete inventory of the inside of the purse. Did you inventory the purse and its entire contents?
No, he wanted that collected for, we separated the paper with the blue sticky note on there
Yes, ma'am.
because it had evidence on it. Everything else was more personal property. So it was just collected and secured because when the car goes to Groudon, it'll be in an open space. So we will secure things of value, and that purse had value to it. So it was just taken to secure it.
But what about anything in the purse that may have been of any evidentiary value?
It was the actual piece of paper that had the blood on it, or the apparent blood. Was
But
what was
about a
separated.
calendar or a,
I didn't see any. I don't remember. I didn't search the purse.
Okay.
I was told to photograph the ID that was in there just to show that there was an ID associated with that purse. And then there was that paper found in there, and I was requested to collect it.
to the contrary, were you told not to search the purse?
No, sir.
We just had the picture of it all folded up neatly. It wasn't found like that. It was found in the back of.
Car.
Okay. As now, are you the first person to gain access to the car since it had been towed from where it was found to the location where you processed it?
Yes, sir. So those vehicles are taken from whatever location, and they are followed to 9th Street. They are secured in one of the stalls, which that day it was stall number 1. We have 3 stalls. And until there is a warrant secured or consent to search or whatever they are going on, then nobody messes with those cars. They are secured, they are left alone. So when we get there, we were the first people to actually enter the vehicle.
So the pictures that show us the interior of the car, you know, that's the way it was found on the side of the street when it was originally located by whoever found it.
I'm not sure what happened at the scene. I'm only aware of what happened at 9th Street. That's a secured facility that only the crime scene unit has access to, and it is secured, and we do not enter those vehicles until we are told we can.
Okay. So if the evidence suggests that when the car was found, wherever it was found, nobody got in it, and it was towed to you, or to your to stall number 1, and you're the first person in it, the pictures should accurately reflect the way it was found, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the seats then, and when you take the initial pictures, do you move the seats or do anything to adjust the interior of the car prior to taking the photographs?
Absolutely not. That car is photographed from the exterior, and then we move to the interior. Nothing is moved, nothing is touched until we have those original.
Proximity to the steering wheel, that's as it was found.
Yes, sir. Nobody touched that car, moved any seats.
And I think, as I recall, the passenger seat behind the driver's seat is down, so that's the way you found it. Or not
I'd
you
have
found
to
it, but that's the way it
see.
appeared to you.
Yes, sir. I'd have to see a picture to know for sure, but however it was when we get there and we document it, that's the way it is.
Now, we saw the, with the assistance of Blue Star, the steering wheel, right?
Mhm.
And it looks like the Blue Star shows a continuous pattern of something around the entire surface of the steering wheel, right?
The entire steering wheel chemiluminesce, that blue color, it glows.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And that's consistent, so that doesn't mean necessarily, that's consistent with at least some blood having been on the steering wheel possibly, and then that blood being spread around the steering wheel, right?
Possibly, yes, sir. It's a presumptive blood.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you, as directed by Espinosa, and as you've described, processed the car for different DNA samples throughout mostly the driver's compartment, right?
Yes, sir.
And feel free to review your report with me. Did you, if you remember, process the passenger compartment of the car for any DNA samples? Either, and I'll make it either on the 4th or the 7th.
So on the 7th, we did spray the entire car with Blue Star. And the areas that chemiluminesced, they were documented and photographed. So if they didn't chemiluminesce, they were not photographed. They were just the overall photographs taken of that. On the 4th,
But let me ask you this: to get DNA samples from where there was apparent blood, or did you also swab surfaces that did not have apparent blood to try to attempt the acquisition of DNA samples?
I was advised to swab the apparent blood in the different locations. So that
you
is what we
only
did.
tried to get DNA from the apparent blood.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In addition to swabbing the apparent blood samples, and the reason I ask, you can, in your experience, am I correct in that you can get DNA from a surface like a stereo knob, correct?
You would have to talk to the crime lab to be more specific about touch DNA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can attempt.
We can swab it, yes.
And you can swab. I was in a case recently where they swabbed seatbelt buckles.
Yes, sir.
That's not unusual, is it?
Yeah, depending on the case and what they are requesting at the time, no, sir.
And
It's
door handles.
they can if that is requested, yes.
Now, in this case specifically, I think you could agree with me that you had reason to believe that something had been placed in the back of that car, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's what that car has, like a hatchback or a cargo area.
A cargo area, yes, sir.
And one of the ways to get into that is there's a latch on the back of the car, right? I think the pictures show that.
Yes, sir.
And did you attempt to get DNA samples to see who had touched or who had grabbed that latch to open the back of that car?
I did not. Usually if they're going to do that, that's done at the scene prior to it being moved by and the tow truck drivers touching the exterior of the car. So I don't know what was done prior to it arriving at 9th Street.
And that's not something Espinosa directed you to do?
No, sir.
Did you know whether or not Espinosa had been present when the tow truck
I don't
hooked
know.
up the car?
I don't know, sir. It a lot of times these happen over multiple shifts, and I don't really know what goes on other shifts, just what I'm involved in myself.
So let's talk about fingerprints. I want to ask just the last thing I have, questions I have. I think when I reviewed your report on the 7th, I think it was the 7th.
The 4th.
Oh, it was the 4th?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It says attempted, but
Interior of vehicle, the Hyundai for latent prints, and I had negative results. I also searched the E4, which I think is that cup. I searched it for prints as
another
well.
cup?
No, that one that we collected, E4, the quench cup that was in the center
The one
console.
unusual to have no success with fingerprints.
Absolutely.
It's unusual?
No, it happens a lot.
Okay.
Like
'Cause-
we search cars in this city with the dust. A lot of times we won't get prints on them.
Would you agree with me, it's kind of a common misconception that you're gonna get fingerprints all the time, right? I mean, I think society thinks you're always gonna get these fingerprints thanks to CSI and TV, but it's not as frequent as they believe, is it?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge, and thank you for coming back today.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all working with me.
Just a few questions, Judge.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just for real quick clarifications.
Oh, no, you're fine.
So when you're processing a vehicle like this one, are you necessarily collecting all the items that are in that vehicle?
No, sir.
Okay. And so how is it that you choose?
So anything that, it depends on what they want in their search warrants or what we are being directed to. So for example, the purse, The purse was something of value, so it was removed from the car to have it secured until the family could take custody of the purse. The towel, I don't remember if the towel had apparent blood on it, but that might have been why we collected that. The cup in the front, they could submit that later on to have it tested for possible DNA. Most of the other stuff in the back was personal property. Like, I think there was a float back, a pink float with kid stuff. It wouldn't really have any evidentiary value for what this
So that
case
stuff
was.
wasn't collected.
No, sir.
Okay, and then on 8/4, when you're getting ready to collect those swabs, you said that you're looking for apparent signs of apparent blood, I guess, and that's just naked eye apparent blood.
Yes, sir.
And so if you don't see something that looks like blood, you're not going to notice swab there.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And then to distinguish that from what you were doing on 8/8, I think you kind of answered in your question Mr. Funk asked you. You're spraying it, and then basically whatever glows.
Collect that, then we will turn that in. If we can't, then we will swab it.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, if you don't mind putting that together, leaving it on the ledge for the court reporter. Yes, ma'am. And also the scissors, if you don't mind. Just, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Very-
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I think we need that, hearing outside the presence of the jury now.
Right, members of the jury, I'm gonna give y'all a break. We're gonna take up a matter outside your presence. I don't know how long it would take. If you recall yesterday, I also let you know that we don't know how long we'll go today. So if you need to make any calls or arrangements, please do that at this time. We'll let you know when we're ready for you. All right, so the jury.
You may be seated.
Let's take a short break. Sorry about that. Did I hurt somebody?
some steps to make I think they're gonna be jail phone calls to make them admissible, such as somebody has to be able to identify the voices on the tapes and all that, and I think that needs to be done outside the presence of the jury before the judge can make a ruling on whether or not that has to be done to make them relevant to this case, so I'd ask that that all be done outside the presence of the jury. I'm sure they have somebody lined up to identify the voices and all that, but I'd ask that that be done outside the presence of the jury so the court can make the ruling on relevancy before we do that.
Got it. All right, State, you can call your next witness.
And the state calls Sylvia Bastille.
You have a seat. I'm gonna swear you in, yes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you do know it's a powerful mic?
Yes.
You may need to adjust it. All right, State.
Thank you, Judge. So, obviously the jury's not in here, but could you tell us who you work for?
IC Solutions.
Okay, and so what does IC Solutions do?
We do communication services for jails and prisons across the nation.
Okay, and so what does it mean to do communication services for the jail?
We provide phone services, video services, and tablet services.
And so are you a custodian of records for IC Solutions?
Yes, sir.
And when someone goes to jail, how is it that they get set up with an account?
They need to enroll into the phone, so they put in their SID number, and then they have to select a verbiage, and then once the system gets enough of their voice to match with that SID number plus the passcode, then they're enrolled into the phone.
And so, and IC Solutions doesn't assign inmates a SID number,
No,
but the inmates then choose and select their own PIN number.
passcode, yes, sir.
Passcode. And then there's also voice authentication.
Yes,
So there's 3 kind of levels of authentication.
yes,
Okay. And so, what are those the measures that they use to ensure that any given inmate is using only their account?
yes, sir.
Now, okay, so did you have an opportunity to listen to any particular recordings for today's testimony, to prepare for today's testimony?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you did listen to them?
Yes, sir.
Now, I guess let me ask, when an inmate makes a jail call, or I guess a phone call from the jail,
Mhm.
are those calls recorded?
Yes, they are.
And are they recorded at the time that the phone call is being made?
Yes, sir.
And those recordings, are they kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, sir.
Now, in those recordings that you listened to, did the person making that call identify themselves?
Yes.
And who did they identify themselves as?
Guadalupe Contreras.
And all the other, I guess, information that comes from that call, being the ID number, the passcode number, the voice authentication, and the SID number, do all of those also attach to Guadalupe Contreras?
Yes.
That's what it's trying.
Are you the custodian of records for the software that does voice identification?
I'm the custodian of records for IC Solutions.
Right, but you didn't develop the voice identification software, did you?
No, sir, I
Okay,
did
you
not.
can't vouch for the validity of the software for voice identification, can you?
With the system that identified Guadalupe Contreras as making the phone calls?
Right, but that's all you know, is this some system somewhere said, I think that's him.
Yes.
Okay. So you've listened to some, you bought the disc, because you're the custodian of records for the recordings, correct?
Yes, sir.
But that's your task here today.
I listened to the calls right straight from the
Right.
system, and then, yes.
You don't know anybody's voice. You don't know Guadalupe Contreras, correct?
No, I don't know him. No.
Well then, Judge, at this point, I objected. She certainly cannot, this does not satisfy the predicate. she's the custodian of records for the phone calls, but that doesn't make whatever phone call she can relevant to this trial. Until somebody takes a stand and says, I've listened to them and they're his voice. I mean, so I will object, and I do object.
All right, response?
Well, Judge, she's external records for IC Solutions, and she already kind of delineated how there's 3 different levels of authentication that tie any given voice that's making the call from the jail to the defendant, and so that is actually what establishes the identity of the voice on the phone. And also, Judge, his argument goes to weight, not admissibility, in case I forgot to say that.
Okay. All right, I'm looking up a couple of cases. Is there anything else that we need to get out of the witness before we proceed?
No.
Okay. All right, let's take a brief recess and let me look up some things.
Is it still raining out there? Is it what? Oh, yes, it was when I got here.
Did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to let you know.
It won't go through. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
All right, ready? All right, the court has reviewed some applicable case law. I'll overrule the objection. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Will the court cite for the record the cases it reviewed? Just,
Sure. Let's see. Our Westlaw site, 2019 WL 4585447. Court of Appeals, Texas Amarillo, 848 through 849, which specifically references authentication, a couple of other things kind of moved on. Segundo versus State, 9-23-00332-CR. It's a Westlaw site, 2024 Westlaw 4.
least know which two of the group we're gonna, I'd like to know which ones, just for my edification, which ones of the group we're gonna hear. If I should have done that, I just thought right now.
No, it's understandable. I get it.
Which ones?
So for what it's worth,
The transcripts of the ones we're gonna use.
Give him a little bit of a break.
so the action from last time.
Same one from the first one. She says with disgust. But it's the same one. It's the same one from the last trial. It's the same two. Yes. Okay. Okay, the judge, I'm ready.
Okay.
It's the same one from. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. Say not. While we're on the record, I'm gonna object to hearsay.
And then they're not being offered for the truth and entire story, Your Honor.
Got it?
Can I get a ruling?
Yes, that is overruled.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
In the future, feel free to make our response. Now I'm saying we don't want that.
But that, I mean, that's the response. Right?
Yes, it is. We're good.
And I've said it, it's great to have great attorneys in this case, on both sides. On both sides.
Oh, but you weren't streaming that.
And his contact information is.
And thank y'all both so much for listening to my podcast.
Yeah.
Ready, guys? All rise for the jury. May be seated.
All right, welcome back, members of the jury. State, you can call your next witness.
And Your Honor, the state calls Sylvia Castillo.
All right, ma'am, you've already been sworn. Can you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Sylvia Castillo.
Judge. Ms. Castillo, you told us that you work for IC Solutions. What is IC Solutions?
We do handle communications for jails and prisons across the nation.
Okay, and does that include Bexar County?
It does.
And so, I guess, what is it that communication services are for Bexar County?
We handle phone services and video services for Bexar County.
And so the phone services that you provide to the Bexar County Jail, what is it that they do?
We actually process all of their phone calls.
Now, when an inmate is taken to the Bexar County Jail, how is it that they get set up to be able to make phone calls?
They have to enroll into the phone, so they enter in their SID number, they select a 4-digit passcode, and then they have to read some verbiage in order for the system to get enough of the voice to match with that SID number and passcode. So the next time they make a phone call, If everything matches, it'll go out.
And are you a custodian of records for IC Solutions?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said a second ago that they establish a passcode. That's a passcode that they create themselves?
Yes, sir.
And then you said that they enter in their SID number. What is a SID number?
The SID number is their ID, inmate ID that's assigned by the county.
Okay, and so that's not a number that is created by IC Solutions?
No, sir.
And is, to your knowledge, is a SID number unique to each individual inmate?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also said that there's a voice authentication software, so they need to collect enough examples of their voice in order for it to be authentifiable?
Yes, sir.
Now, are those the three measures, I guess, that exist in order to ensure that any particular inmate is using only their own account?
Yes, sir.
And so so there's three levels of identification. If an inmate makes a call and the voice authentication doesn't match, will the call go through?
No, sir.
So, when a call is made at Bexar County, is that call recorded?
Yes, sir.
And is it recorded at the time or near the time that the call is made?
It is.
And are those recordings kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you have an opportunity to listen to some Bexar County jail calls in order to prepare for your testimony today?
I did.
And did you listen to them?
I did. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
So I'm bringing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 79. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
2 call recordings from Mr. Contreras.
Okay, and is this the disc that you listen to?
It is.
So what's the process that you use
I
recording?
listen to them straight from our system first, and then when I come in, then I listen to them off the disc.
Okay, and how is it that you know that this disc is the disc that you listen to?
The call sequence number is unique to every single phone call at the jail.
And do you do anything to this disc to, I guess, denote it as being your disc?
Initial and sign it.
Now,
I'm sorry, date it.
and so having listened to the disc and the recordings on the disc, did the individual making the calls identify themselves in the recordings?
Yes.
And who did they identify themselves as?
Guadalupe Contreras.
The PIN number that was used to make the phone call, to whom was that PIN number associated to?
To Mr. Contreras.
And then lastly, the SID number that was used to make that phone call, to whom was that SID number attached to?
Mr. Contreras.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer State's Exhibit number 79 to evidence. Any objections?
Our objections have been
Please
made.
note my prior objection.
Yes, they've been made, preserved for the record, overruled, and I will admit State 79.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Now, a second ago, you mentioned that there's a number that's assigned to each individual call. Are they assigned in sequence?
It's a call sequence number. There's tons of calls going on, but they're individual for each call.
And so I'm going to play for you the first recording.
Call number 8276678 inmate ID 70017.
And so I'm pausing the playback at 11 seconds. For the purposes of the record, I'm going to fast forward through the introductory information that plays when they're making a call.
Okay.
Date para español 35 AM to place a call. Please enter your PIN number. After the tone, please say your first and last name. After the tone, please say your first and last name. Say your first and last name. To report any type of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, press 0 followed by *511. Press 0 to make a collect or prepaid collect call or speed dial call. Press 3 to make a free call. Press 9 for help. Press for calls within the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean. Please enter the area code prefix. For calls within the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean, please enter the area code, prefix, and number. Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Contreras.
an inmate at Bexar County Jail. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call, this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hello? Hey.
Where's the kids?
Huh?
Where's the kids?
The kids are at home. I'm not at home.
Where you at?
I'm out. I came to find some stuff out, but I'll be heading home in a little bit. My kids are at the hospital, have a scheduled appointment to see you Monday. But before he goes to go see you Monday morning, I'm gonna make my appointments before then.
Why?
We're gonna go visit you. Huh?
Why?
Your family we're gonna find you out, darling.
They're gonna screw me. The detective, I told him about the text line, he don't care.
I know, the GPS is the one that they did a sequel
1 minute remaining.
saying that the GPS,
Yeah,
the GPS on the phone.
I was gonna go in there and then I called you.
I know, your family's willing to bond you out. We're all willing to bond you out. Your son's willing to find me. All your family's willing to find to get you out. But we were gonna go Monday to ask if you wanted to come out.
That's too much money.
It's only 1,500.
Dude, I can't sacrifice it, I don't care.
No, you can't. Baby, Carmen went crazy.
I'm giving up.
Baby, don't do it. If you're innocent, you're innocent. If you're guilty, you're guilty. I don't care.
The detective, he don't care, he gave me attitude.
I understand that, sweetie, but you only have a couple of minutes before they hang up on you.
I only got 2 minutes, I got less than a minute. Just told
Can you call me back?
No, I'll probably want to get a chance to.
Thank you for using IC Solutions. Goodbye.
And for the purpose of the record, I'm going to begin the playback of the sound. I'm going to try and fast forward through some of the preliminary information.
7, 4.
Oh, wait. This fucking joint, Hal. The same. I know, my stuff from this. Hold on.
After the tone, please say 1-1. Press 0. Hello, you have a prepaid call from
Contreras.
an inmate at Bexar County Jail. Your account balance is $37.40. To hear the charges for this call, press or say 2. To accept this call, press or this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking.
Yeah, Mother and I was ringing. It's Amber calling me.
Who?
Amber?
Oh. Juliano.
Nothing at the store? I was up here, I was up with you guys earlier, Gloria was there.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's
So I
so.
didn't have to go to the hospital with the girls.
You want to take me again?
Okay, what from, picking up the kids?
Because you can't, I don't get it.
The kids are in school. They already started. They started today.
Oh, y'all going together or what?
We didn't have to go together.
Hey, you didn't start with whom?
Where's your son? Say hello.
Who's on that? Oh, what the hell y'all didn't start? You haven't cooked or what?
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Why?
But, hold on.
Hello? Huh? What's up? I thought you had to cook. You must have lazy.
What?
Oh boy, you got it. I said, you never changes his jokes.
What's your saying?
I never did.
Yeah, I cooked ramen noodles already. Huh? I was telling them that I cooked ramen noodles, you know, because I'll be staying on that stove for that ramen. I was trying to be like you there, you know, how you're supposed to be in that ramen noodle right now, I'll be like you.
Dude, I don't even eat ramen noodles, dude. It's like, let's say, you know the spam?
Yeah.
Okay. Try eating the spam that tastes like box.
I don't even like spam.
Okay, but it has a taste of box. Your clothes, your drink, everything smells like it. No matter what it is, it smells like it.
Hey, Dad.
Oh.
That's it. I'm not saying that this hangs up, all bad. That's just it. And, what's called it? Robert said if you could steal some of the underwear.
Oh, you want Robert?
No, that was yesterday.
I know, I'm gonna stuff some underwear to this fucking place.
I see. He said there was something
You should know how many people use these fucking underwear.
I know he said they feel good, but you wanna know why they feel good? He was lying, because everybody's balls is in on them.
Yeah. And the buses are white, dude.
Yeah, he said it's a white one.
Yeah, I can't stand these fucks. Sucks, dude, it sucks. I tell you now, man. I'm gonna slap you ever do something like this.
Oh.
I know. Is it the wrong time? The wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah, Dad.
And that's why it's called. That's why it's called.
Sorry, Dad, don't worry.
That's why
I love you, Dad.
I'm just kidding. That's why I told you, remember, you and Carmen are the ones that, you know, even though Tina's not mine, but you have the same moves that I have. I raised you all.
I didn't like the kind of stuff.
I know you stick to your sister.
Like I told her the day she was crying and everything. That I'm ready. She was crying, so like, she was crying when we were going to interview when she was touching my wall. And I told everybody that I go, right now, Dad's not here, you know. I go, I thought we'd see, you thought we'd see, we were gonna make them up, alright? Like, that's it, we make up that, and she started thinking about it, and she knew where I was coming from.
See what?
She knew where I was coming from, like what I meant. So like, then we're gonna get you alright.
It's not about getting out, son. It's about this shit going away.
So like, then we're doing this.
I know that. I'm not ready out for that. Who's your mom fighting with?
Nobody.
And when I get out of this fucking joint, I want to eat something good, dude.
You want to that shit?
Oh, my stomach, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm telling you, man. I got a choice.
You don't want to eat your toothpick, you know, or what?
Huh?
I said you don't want to eat your toothpick, you know, or what?
Fuck that, dude. I'll pay you. You know how bad it is, dude?
What?
I'll eat Fritos. The plain Fritos with no Bindit. Than eating this.
With no Bindit, you sure?
Yeah, just like that, dude. I would just eat Fritos just like that. You can give me the suckiest chips in the world, and I'll eat those besides this shit. I'm telling you, the food here, dude, oh my god, dude, the smell of it. The image didn't look at me, and I was like, dude, y'all want this shit? 'Cause I ain't eating it.
You want to take it or what?
Yeah, they take it. Y'all fucking chingas. Like fucking last minute, they're all like, hey, we'll take your trip for you. I go, okay, fuck. It's on your own. I go and I go lay down. And I start doing push-ups and shit. And then I start doing push-ups the other way, and all this fucking big like that after my ass.
What?
Because I was doing push-ups at 3 in the morning. And then I didn't do it, dude. When they did the test and everything, I weighed 223.
223?
Yeah.
Shit, I weigh 180.
Yeah, I got that shit, so.
Off my fat?
Yeah, okay. Fucking Sunday day.
Hey.
Alright. Stay strong with family, right?
Huh?
Stay strong with family, keep them in check.
I will do.
Alright, love you, Pop.
Alright, I'll see you everything.
Alright, I'll let you go.
Alright, are you still here? We still on the phone? Shit. Then I'll use my car so I can wish for it. So I can put the windows on you.
Yeah, Shirley told me she wrecked the car.
Yeah. She did before we did that, touching her way, you know, so that she wrecked the car.
Yeah, but I thought she was just crying because she missed me. No, she was crying because she wrecked the damn car.
No, this time she said she didn't care about wrecking the car.
Yeah,
She said she had a lot of stuff going on in her head.
like I don't.
Shit, I have a lot of stuff going on. My head backwards, like right now. She hasn't touched the car since then. I said, she hasn't touched the car since then. I've been driving.
Jesus. Two people that know how to run into shit.
What are you talking about? I never ran into shit.
You want to fuck?
That wasn't me.
You fucking shit, dude.
Hey, what's it? I think it was Gina.
Oh, okay, blame the other ones, yeah. She never wants to go.
Gina has trouble running into shit.
No, I know. Believe me, around in the garage.
Yeah, she had 3 days. I don't have 1, 3 or 2. Is it different?
I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
no. She had 3. I had 9.
I just tell you what, I want to be with y'all.
You're right there.
I want to get dropped off, and I'm there by myself because people I don't want to be with.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm already talking about this. I'm gonna start working more hours so I can get so we could get more money so we could put it down for at least a small little farm for right now.
I know. When all this is said and done, man, I'm still going to church.
That's what I'm on. That's still going to church.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop. I told you that. So if I come out, I'm going to church Thursday. And I want to go Sunday.
Okay.
See you at 5:30. Tell your mom I love her.
What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
What do you mean I'm doing?
Are you trying to hang up on me?
No. Expendable was there? Yeah, yesterday we saw Transformer and the Adventures of Tron of the something of, I don't know. You ever really watch your movie today? Yeah. Yeah, it's on the TV, it's on the news and to see what, see anything in case I saw, but I didn't see nothing. What news? Is there on the news lately? Huh? Is there on the news lately? Yeah, but what channel? 5? There was, when I saw the news, I saw when they took you out. Uh-huh. When you were walking out with the 2 officers, one looked like Chinese, the other one looked like kind of white. Yeah. Which one is that, that you, the reporter that, if you have anything to say, you said not guilty? Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. That was on 12. You know, one of the reporters is so stupid. Yeah. Because I don't know if they say anything, I don't know if he does that, they go, so how long did you know the victim? What are you to the victim? I go, are you serious, Steve? Are you to the victim? Yeah. How long have I known her? And what is she to me? I was like, what? Don't they already know that? No, I told me they didn't know that. No, Dad, let me let you go. I'll call you back in a few minutes. You're not like that now. Sorry, guys. Love you, Tom. Be careful, right? I love you too. Dad, are you too? You stay cool, blood. Oh, no, I don't. Love you, Dad. I love you too, Dad. Alright, bye. Bye-bye.
And so, just the last couple of questions for you. That second call where he's talking to the young man, he says, I'll slap you if you ever do anything like this. What date is that phone call from?
The second call is 8/14/2017.
Okay, and that first call with the woman on the other side of the line, what date is that from?
8/13/2017.
And then do you have in front of you, do you know the numbers that, I guess the phone numbers that were called when the call was placed?
Yes.
What was the phone number?
210-489-9398.
And is that the same number for both calls?
Yes.
That's what it's, Your Honor. I don't have any questions.
All right, ma'am, you're excused.
Thank you.
The rules of invoked, you know what that means?
Yes.
Next witness.
We've question her regarding the science, the validity of the science, and the fact that she relied on this science in making her findings. I think at the conclusion of my questions, the court made a ruling regarding the court's opinion on whether or not it believed that the evidence should be admissible based on the evidence it heard. I don't anticipate anything being different today, but I need to, for the record, just not have that hearing again, but just ask the court to, let me read into the record, if we can, oh, Lauren's gone, there she is. If we can get the volume and the page number from the prior record and make that a part of this record, so the court can have, so the record will reflect the evidence that was heard in the prior hearing, and that can be, so for the purposes of the science, I just want to re-urge the hearing we had prior with the same evidence, if that makes sense.
Yes, so just